see, this is my channel, The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I'm wearing a fancy booktube hat, and today I'm filming a sort of big sloppy TBR for the month of March. The reason this is a big sloppy TBR is I've got a lot of library books that came in, and then I was looking at the books that, I sort of thought I was going to read in March, and then all of the library books, I'm like, this isn't all going to happen. Part of this is because I'm trying to join along with as many of the BooktubeSFF Awards read-alongs as I can, and it's a lot of books. So the final book on my TBR for last month, February, was Den of Wolves by Juliet Marillier. I sort of started this. I read like the first 3 pages, and then I got waylaid because where'd it go? Here. This one came in at the library, so I started reading this and then I couldn't put it down. This is Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. This is the 3rd book in the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. It was just released. I had a pretty early library hold on it, so my excuse for prioritizing this is that there are holds after me and they all want the book. So this is what I started at the end of February instead of this, and I'm almost done with it, and then I swear I actually will read this book because I have renewed it way too many times at this point. Now, I said that a lot of these books were going to be for BooktubeSFF Award read-alongs. That is technically true, although the only March read-along where I'm planning on reading the book in March is Furthermore by Tara Mafi. This is one of the middle grade nominees. I've already read Every Heart a Doorway, which is also being discussed this month, and then the other books that I'm planning on reading this month are books that are first books in a series for which the second books are being read next month. I also plan on reading Monstrous, which is the graphic novel nominee that's being read this month, and Nine Fox Gambit, which is the adult book, but I'm way too far out on the library holds for both of those to even hope to get my hands on those this month. Furthermore is the first middle grade novel by Tara Mafi, who is known for her YA Shatter Me series that I've never been interested in, but this looks like it could be a lot of fun. I've honestly heard some mixed things, but some people who I trust have really liked it, so I'm looking forward to reading it because middle grade is always just fun. Like, even if it's not the best middle grade, I generally enjoy reading it. So next, I have 3 more first books in series for which later books in the series are nominated for BooktubeSFF Awards to be read in future months. The first is Descender, Volume 1. This volume is called Tin Stars. Volume 2 is the one that's nominated. This should be really quick to get through both volumes, though. This is a graphic novel painted in watercolor, which is the thing that actually interests me most about this because I like watercolor, about a little robot boy in a world that has turned hostile to AIs. I've heard that this is really a sweet story, and I like sweet sci-fi, so I hope that's the case. This is written by Jeff Lemire and it's illustrated by Dustin Nguyen. The next is one I've been intending to read for a long time. I've actually checked this out from the library before and returned it unread, and that's Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. The second book in this duology, Crooked Kingdom, is nominated in the YA category. I had slightly mixed feelings about the Grisha trilogy. I went into them hoping, I think, that they would be something different than what they were. But generally I found them really readable and enjoyable. I feel like this duology, which is a sort of fantasy heist series set in the same world, is going to be even less what I was initially hoping for, but I know that going in, and a lot of people have said that this is a better book than the Grisha trilogy. So I've been procrastinating this book, but I gotta read it now because I want to join in the read-along for Crooked Kingdom. And then I'm kind of clutching at straws to hope that I'll get to the 5th season this month to prepare for the Obelisk Gate. I have a sinking feeling that I am not going to end up reading either the 5th season or the Obelisk Gate by the end of the BooktubeSFF Awards read-alongs this year. Second book is nominated. I really want to read this series. I still want to read this series. I've no intention of not reading this series. I sort of want, though, to read The 100,000 Kingdoms first, at least the first book in her Inheritance trilogy, because that trilogy really interests me, and I've heard that it's not as good. I own the first book, and if it's not as good, then I want to read it first so that I won't be disappointed in that book after reading these. Does that make sense? So I have this out from the library just in case I get to it, and I feel like reading it. I'm not guaranteeing that's going to happen, though, until I've read some of her other work. So these are all the library books I have right now. I never read this many library books all at once. What I tend to do is I tend to try to intersperse every library book I read with an owned book that I own to read. I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep that up this month or if I'm going to let some of these books sort of fall off the bottom of the month's TBR. If the BooktubeSFF Awards read-alongs weren't happening this month, my main goal would have been to read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I still desperately want to read this. This has been something that's gotten procrastinated for me since... This is something that I have procrastinated. I will take grammatical responsibility. For several months now. I genuinely thought I was going to read this book by the end of 2016. It didn't happen. So one option I have is to just say, okay, I'm going to read the library books, but then I'm going to only read one book I own and it's gonna be this one. Or I could pick some shorter books that I own to read in between these. I have some possibilities. I have The Door and the Hedge by Robin McKinley, which is a collection of short stories that I've been wanting to reread for a few years now. I have Mr. Midshipman Hornblower by C.S. Forrester. I want to read this. I have The Seventh Bride by T. Kingfisher. These are all kind of high priority reads on the top of my reading list right now. And then I also do really want to finish The Once and Future King, even though I got to the end of The Sword and the Stone and didn't really like it. I will plow through. This wasn't difficult reading. It was fairly light reading, but once I put it aside, it was hard to get back into because I was remembering that I wasn't really liking it. So I have a massive ton of options, and I'm going to tell you that I'll probably only end up reading a third of these. I think that's reasonable to say. I will end up reading a third of these, and I'm just not sure which third yet. Anyhow, let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know if you're participating in any of the BooktubeSFF Awards read-alongs. I'd love to hear from you. That is all. Bye for now.